We are here in Tucson, Arizona for the WPH Race 4-8 Tucson Memorial. My name is Dave Vincent alongside Dave Fink here on ESPN3 and Watch ESPN, where we have what would really be a final of any world championship or national championship tournament between two of the biggest stars in the game, Killian Carroll and Luis Moreno. But this is a round of 8, a quarterfinal match in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, it could have been a first-round match based on the blind draw, but it was Killian Carroll drawing the number 8 seed, Marco Chavez, who he defeated easily yesterday, qualifying officially, Dave, for the first time in a race event. He's finished 5th in 2 U.S. Opens, but of course those are open tournaments. And then Luis Moreno, Dave, who's been the race for 8 number 1 for the majority of the race for 8 since the inception in 2011, now at number 2 and seeded number 1 here by virtue of Paul Brady sitting this one out. These two have played, Dave, twice in the last 16 months. Killian Carroll winning both of those matches. In fact, Dave, in 5 total games played, Luis Moreno's won just 1. They went to a tiebreaker at the World Championships just a couple of months ago. Luis Moreno losing 11-9. Luis losing in 2 straight in the Canadian National Final in 2014 in the spring there. So it's going to be a really exciting match. I can't wait for it.
Well, Dave, you know, the scoring format here is best 2 out of 3 to 15. Tiebreaker also to 15, win by 2. Doesn't that seem to benefit Luis Moreno more so than the grinder of Killian Carroll, who likes, you know, to play those longer matches?
You would say so, but, you know, the Irish have come over here and done well in every format we've ever had. They've done well in the 25-point, they've done well in the 21-point, and they've done well in the 15-point. So
here it is, first serve.
Short. Okay. Both agree.
We do have video
Second
replay.
serve.
I think a quick start is imperative for Luis Moreno. Once the jump on top of Killian, you get the feeling that Killian, if he can start to impose that steady style and that technically sound style, that he's very tough to beat. But Luis Moreno, Dave, is, I believe, the most underrated player in the game.
Short. Second serve.
9 race titles for Luis Moreno. That's tied for first all time.
And this is his home court here in Tucson, Arizona, the one that he probably knows more about than any other player on the planet.
Killian Carroll not defending his Golden Gloves title in Ireland this weekend, Dave, of course, because he's here.
Short.
He said there was a lot of talk that I'd be defending my title this week. It was on social media, and I said, well, you know, in the United States, I'm in Tucson.
Second serve.
Going for my first race title.
He gets past Moreno. There's a good chance he's going to get that title, and there's the first point on this scoreboard here.
You guys catch it? I didn't see the no. Point.
Impossible for our
-0.
line judges or referees to see that.
And in talks with Marco Chavez yesterday, he said that Killian had one of the best serves he's ever seen.
It's interesting, Dave, because Killian telling me this morning he doesn't think he's really ever served well in his career except for a span in 2012. So always looking to improve, Killian Carroll.
Look at that.
Point.
Catching Luis Moreno by surprise there, and I think that's a benefit of playing by the book. You just catch your opponent off guard when you go for a shot like that.
There it is in super slow-mo.
And it's a great dream start for Killian Carroll, who was here at the facility, Dave, at about 7:45 for this 9 o'clock match, going through his whole warm-up. There's a first error from Killian, Dave, but in our pre-production morning meeting this morning, Dave, with Killian, he says, you know, I've got some injuries. He had a groin injury last year that kept him out of the first half of 2015. Also struggles with a left shoulder injury. Now, these aren't things that you'll ever hear Killian talk about, but of course, Dave, in those meetings, it's a full disclosure. Have to list your injury report, Dave.
Yeah, it's interesting because you can
Second
talk to the
serve.
players about that, and they won't tell you that they're injured, but once you engage in a conversation, you kind of find out everything that's going on in their lives.
Love that shot from Luis, sliding on one knee. Big, long swing.
2 serves 4.
And a great paddle shot.
Ball was short.
Dave, I believe you deserve a lot of credit for that Luis Moreno paddle shot because playing him at
Second serve.
0600 so many mornings, he worked on that shot exclusively.
Well, he said to me one day, I said, you know, how do you do that paddle shot? And he goes, come on, you don't need a paddle shot. Just hit it as hard as you can.
Hold it.
He said, no, I'm never going to learn that. I don't want to learn that. He said, I think it's a stupid shot. And then he started learning it.
2 plays 4 again.
It was like a reverse psychology thing. Then I felt like maybe he's got the best paddle shot in the game.
Point.
And now 3 quick points from Moreno, 2 airs from Killian Carroll, opening
3
the door.
serves 4.
You see Killian just hanging back
Point.
there. You don't see many players go for a kill shot from that angle.
4 serves 4.
Killian would have picked that one up had he been moving forward.
Side out.
That was a sidearm fist fly
4
kill
serves
attempt.
4.
That's not a traditional shot.
Point.
Another skip there from Luis Moreno. And maybe
5
it doesn't
serves 4.
translate well on TV, but Killian's serves are pretty deadly. They punch into that either left or right wall. And another great kill shot
Point.
there. Good leg work from Killian Carroll.
Well, I don't think Killian's necessarily an ace artist, but he's so precise with that serve that he gets setups.
6
He hits it in the
serves 4.
perfect spot where you have to give him a weak return, and then from there, he's a great first striker.
Second serve. Side out.
Fairly impressed here with our young referee, Richie Estrella, who is calling this match. Best
4
2 out of
serve
3 to
6.
15. Win by 2, Dave. And we've seen some overtime matches, haven't we?
Point.
Yeah, we saw a couple yesterday
5 serves 6.
in the 17th place playoff, Dave, which I know that you were into.
Loved it. And that's a skip in from Moreno around the revolving door.
Out.
Just didn't look like he got his body fully turned,
6 serves 5.
and he came up just an inch short. And sometimes that's all it takes.
It almost seems as though Luis Moreno's a little stiff.
Second serve.
It's not like he's completely bending down. Wow. Should be a setup for Moreno. Goes right
Hold
down
it,
the
straight
middle.
ball.
Like that call from our referee, who's been the MVP this weekend, Dave. Even if he left right now in the middle of this match, I still think he's the MVP of this tournament.
Even if he quit.
Yeah, just walked out right now.
6
Still,
serves 5 again.
he's got it. Killian Carroll with a beautiful left hand kill there. Spending a lot of time in Boston now, Dave. Said he
7 serves 5.
really likes it there in the handball community. You see a broken ball there?
About time.
Well, fortunately, Dave, our team warmed up 24 balls just before this match.
Wow, that's nice.
So there shouldn't be a need to throw the balls around. They already warmed up.
Well, it'll get thrown anyway.
Doesn't look like it.
Wow, impressive.
Oh, well, I spoke too soon.
You're watching the Tucson Memorial Handball Championships in Tucson, Arizona, Tucson Racket and Fitness Club, where we're in the quarterfinals of the men's here early on a Saturday morning, Mountain Time.
Hard to figure out exactly what time we're in here in Tucson, but you see Killian Carroll with the flash shirt underneath. He did have
7
to
plays 5 again.
get the copyright permission from our good friend John Robles, Dave, in the high desert,
Short.
who is the original Flash, now Bat Flash.
Second serve. Point.
These two, Dave, winning their first round matches by a combined score of 60-8
8 serves 5.
yesterday.
Wow. Yeah, there was a lot of blowouts there. Big setup here for Carroll.
Luis defeating
Point.
his childhood rival, Shorty Ruiz, in 17 minutes yesterday.
9 serves 5.
And what Killian Carroll did to Marco Chavez yesterday
Point.
was about 17
Yeah.
minutes, if not less
10
than that.
serves 5.
And Sean Lenning to Anthony Celesto last night was just, everyone's still talking about that match.
Could have been a hinder call there, wasn't. I happen to like it. I don't think Luis will, though, if he loses this rally. And I think that should have been called
Green,
there.
green, hold it.
That's all right. I'm okay with the ref calling a late
Yeah.
screen. I hate when, you know, as a viewer watching a referee call that early screen. Let's watch this here.
I think this is a clear screen. And
Same place 5
And you
again.
saw also the stutter step from Luis.
the right call was made.
But you see the referee saying, hey, I'm going to let you play it. And there's another point now for Killian Carroll, who has it at 11-5.
I think Killian's got maybe the best
11
fly kill in the
serves 5.
game outside of Paul Brady. You talk about
Right
the
out.
uncharacteristic error there, but that victory against Marcos yesterday, I watched the last 5 points of the
5
first game.
serves
Killian
7.
needed just 9 swings to score 5 points. That's efficiency.
You know, one thing we've only seen once here
Right
in
out.
this match so far from Carroll is one dive. He's only been on the floor one time.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw that after 16 points? That's the thing about Carroll that just really amazes me. He can
11 serves 5.
change his game. He's changed it here. He doesn't need to be scrappy right now because he's being efficient. That's not avoidable. Look how Carroll is dictating what Luis has to do up front.
Point.
He's got Luis on the move on virtually every shot, and then Luis finally gets a chance to step into one, and it's almost as though you're trying to force something because
12 serves 5.
you're just not in a rhythm. And Dave, you know the feeling as a former pro player yourself, when you get in there and you just feel like you're not getting any opportunities, you finally get one, but you're just not in any kind of tempo or
13
rhythm to
serves
do
5.
anything good with it. This should be the 14th point.
Boy, Luis was really close on
Yeah.
that back wall shot, too. Surprised there wasn't any contact. Look at Carroll getting those balls there.
I love the referee letting these guys play. And it's working itself out, Dave.
Carroll should put that next shot away, and he
Wow.
does. And finally, there's the
Point.
14th point. That 14th point could have come 10 shots ago, could have came 5 shots ago. And the referee really letting these guys play.
14 possible game point serves 5.
Just 13 minutes into this game, and we're at game point.
Wow.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Killian Carroll takes down Luis Moreno here in Tucson, Arizona for
5 minutes, guys.
this very first game.
It's just great, impressive playing from Killian, who, Dave, I heard about before I ever saw from good friends of ours in New York who played him in the Boston Open and said, you know, this guy is a machine. You know, and this guy is like a robot in there. He just does everything perfectly. I don't see anybody beating him. And this is long before he'd ever played on the tour or been to the U.S. Open. And it's just, you're seeing it, what was advertised.
Yeah, well, we also saw him at the Worlds in 2012, and you can tell, even though he had to play Paul Brady, he was very impressive. Let's go courtside to Kara Mack right now, who is with Fred Lewis. Kara.
I'm here with Fred Lewis, who you're actually playing today, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm playing B doubles, as a matter of fact, with one of the kids in my foundation, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Talk a little bit about that, how exciting it is to kind of be back into the game and with the younger kids.
Well, I entered the tournament for 2 reasons. One, I didn't want to sit around here all weekend and get fat, and 2, it's a good opportunity for me to, get in the court with one of our up-and-coming kids who, in the last year or so, has really stepped up and improved his game.
One of those up-and-coming kids way back when was Luis Moreno for you. Watching him here now, watching him in past matches struggle with Killian, what do you think it is that he needs to do to come back?
He's playing very tentative right now. He's hitting a lot of shots underhand and putting them back in the center of the court. I think he needs to, step it up with a lot more intensity. I counted 6 setup shots that he hit in the ground, which, only goes to turn the game around. And Killian flattened just about every ball that, he got his hands on. That was a setup, and that's why he won 15-5.
You've seen Luis throughout the years. What have you noticed in the past couple months out of him?
Well, since the Simple Green tournament, I noticed he started to play again. He hadn't played much up until then, and I know that he's busy with some of his entrepreneurial ventures, which are very important to him. So, it comes down to your values. What's more important, handball or being a success in life? And it's kind of hard to balance the two of them. When he was just playing handball, he was at the top of his game, about 4 or 5 years ago, and then since then, he's gotten a lot more tentative. He's unsure when he's in the court as far as what to do, and that to me, that's a lack of confidence. And you gain confidence when you get in the court and you're playing, 4 or 5 times a week in practice.
Talking to you a little bit about your game that we're going to see, what do you think that you do better now than you did back when you were playing when you were younger?
Better?
Yeah, there must be something.
Kill the ball underhand. I find it very hard to hit the ball sidearm now because of my 2 hip replacements and the fact, I've got trouble with my spine and whatnot. So, it's adjustments, and now that I'm just happy to be playing and getting a workout and, hanging out with the other handball players, because handball players are the greatest people in the world.
Thank you so much, Fred. We'll get back to the match.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much,
0,
Carroll.
serve 0.
It was the first game going to Killian Carroll, 15-5, and he gets the first serve here in game number 2 against Luis Moreno. This is the men's quarterfinals, Tucson, Arizona. Professional handball tour called the Race for 8.
I think Killian could run the ball down the walls a little bit better, and maybe that's the only thing, Dave, that I see he could do a little bit better. Hit a little bit more reverse with his right down the left and slide it a little bit more down the right with his right. But really nitpicking, Dave, because he's just about flawless in there. I think that's what you see a guy like Paul Brady do so well, Dave, is hit the ball down the walls and keep it off the side walls so that there is no chance to retrieve the ball. And maybe, Dave, it's just a lack of experience with this ball. You do have to hit it a little bit differently to run it down the walls. And I think we'll see Killian probably improve in that department throughout this season. And I know he plans on playing in all these events, which is great for our tour. Maybe not so great for our players who will have to play him.
0 serves 2.
Well, I think he's sending a message to the whole world. There's no doubt about that. Just like Luis Moreno sent a message when he was 17.
Side out.
That ball broke on, I thought the ball was broken on the serve. Luis didn't even go for that shot, Dave.
2 serve 0.
That's amazing right there. You get to see it right down the barrel of the gun from that camera angle.
But Luis now just seems completely exhausted, and he's not putting any pressure on. He's just floating the ball around. And when your opponent's doing that, Dave, it just gives you a surge of confidence that you can hit any shot. Of course, the announcers curse, but Luis came into the broadcast booth, Dave, between games, and he didn't look well.
0 serves 3.
No, he didn't.
And he's clearly not hitting the ball as hard right now as he was in the beginning of this match.
Wow. That inside-out kind of modified kill shot that Carroll has is absolutely amazing.
3 serves 0.
It's kind of a slide pass kill. Sometimes it's low, and other times he slides it in the same exact body motion. And this is
4
just
serves 0.
now going to become a blowout.
You know, Dave, you have to understand, this is Luis Moreno's home court. He is a hero here at this facility and in this city. And his fans here, Dave, just in disbelief right now. I mean, they've seen Luis lose, but not like this.
Point.
Last year, you remember he lost to Paul Brady in the final here, 15-14, 15-13. So
5, serve 0.
not, though, being outscored now 21-5 in the first 26 points. This match is almost over.
Yeah.
6, serve 0.
6-0. You heard the score from our referee as Luis Moreno is starting to fall apart here, and Carroll's got a beautiful left hand. That's another thing, too. A lot of players were telling me yesterday they didn't realize that his left was as good as it was. And you can see how he sets his feet, waits for the ball to
7,
drop,
serve 0.
goes over the top, and that ball's flat. Luis did not have a tough match last night.
Well,
So it's not like he's had a lot to do. Carroll's had to play a few rounds of qualifier play.
And that's just not a good shot from Luis. He should have won the point with that fly kill. And Dave, Killian just hits these pass shots that are like body blows. It's really like being punched in the stomach. You'd rather him go for the kill and just end the rally. But instead, he hits these ripping pass shots behind you, forces you to run back, change
8,
directions,
serving 0.
and then he ends it with a 2-inch high kill. And Dave, that's the shot that we saw Sean Lenning unable to make against Robbie McCarthy at 10-10 in the tiebreaker. Really the exact same shot. You see Killian there letting that ball almost hit the front wall and just
9, serving 0.
dumping. Oh my gosh.
That ball looked like it died in that back right corner, but it didn't. Killian's just a man on a mission right now. There's the second dive of the tournament for Carroll. Huge setup there. Dave, it looks exhausting. Just as a spectator, Carroll is moving Luis Moreno left to right, left to right. Luis wins that rally, but he, on his Fitbit, had to run almost a quarter of a mile just in that one rally alone.
Okay, but this match is just 21 minutes old, and Luis is clearly already feeling the effects. Killian's ready to play for 3 hours, and then ready to play again later today.
1, serving 9.
I mean, I don't know if we've seen anybody like Killian Carroll. This feisty, can get anything and play that sort of game, but then also go and have that
2,
precision like Paul Brady has. Kind of similar to a younger Tony Healy.
Short.
This looks to me like Emmett Peugeot against a very young Luis Moreno in 2006. I watched him play in the finals of that Concord Pro Stop, and it was just this kind of match where Emmett running balls down and just playing with a plan, and Luis not knowing what to do. Now at that time, Luis was just a teenager.
Thank you. Side out.
But it just looks like Luis has no answers for this right now. Haven't seen any breaks in the action in this match, except for between games.
And Luis isn't calling timeouts, even though he should.
I call it good.
It's clearly good.
Both agree? Point. 10, serves 2. Short.
Killian missed the first half of this year, as I said, Dave, with that groin injury. Doesn't seem to have any effects from that, though.
Side out.
And maybe now Dave Luis goes to a slower game and tries to keep the ball high to Killian's left.
2, serving 10.
That was a nice reverse.
Point.
That was a pretty easy point right there for Moreno all around. He had a nice reverse to the left, and then he does a little modified
3,
sidearm
serving
right
10.
corner kill, kind of paddle. Gets a very easy first strike.
Short.
And he went for it again. That was the exact same serve.
Second serve.
Wow, this is going to go way up there.
Side out.
That's like a 2-inch putt, Dave.
It's like Carroll goes in and practices that exact
10,
shot.
serving 3.
I mean, look how he knows exactly what he wants to do here. 1 inch high, over the top. About the most perfect shot you will ever see.
Second serve.
If handball had gimmies, Dave, that would have been one.
Wow.
Point.
That's what makes him so dangerous in Carroll is when he's up front and he has to go on the run himself, he closes it out with these type of shots.
Yeah, that was great.
I mean, that's not easy to do when you're on the run. Underhand
11
fist.
serving 3.
11-3. And the dagger has been put in. There's a nice little wrinkle on that
Hold
serve.
it. Hold it.
Little contact leading out of that shot from Killian.
Remember, Killian Carroll trailed Sean Lenning 19-1 2 weeks ago before losing in the
11 plays 3
tiebreaker.
again.
Sean Lenning losing badly to Luis Moreno 4 weeks ago. So I don't know how you can predict these matches, but I think we can predict the outcome here based on what we've seen.
Nice shot there. Carroll goes underneath with that fist and has this weird front spin on it or back spin, and he hits that front wall, checks in, and stays down. Almost like cutting the
12
speed of the
serves
ball
3.
down by 40%, 50%.
Short.
Carroll does not even look like
Second
he's
serve.
sweating.
No.
And you know he's playing hard.
Side out.
Killian telling me that sometimes in the morning, Dave, it's hard to even get out of bed. He's so stiff with his hip and shoulder, but he said as long as
3
I can
serves
play
12.
handball, I'm happy. And I think that's a big part of what makes him so good. He loves it, Dave. When you love something and you're talented and you're willing to put the time
Side
in,
out.
you're going to be great.
Well, once Paul Brady decides to hang it up, which I believe will be in
12,
the next
serve
2
3.
years, isn't Carroll the one that's at the top of the list?
Well, we've talked about this off the air. Who is the number 2 now? We know what the rankings say, but I think you've got 6 or 7 guys with legitimate case to say that they're number 2. And this tournament, I believe, will go a long way in determining that. But I think this whole season will, really. If you have
Point.
Killian Carroll and Dermot Nash and Robbie McCarthy and Mark Mulkerns traveling to these events along with Luis Moreno and Sean Lenning, I mean, we're going to figure out
13 serves 3.
who's number 2, and maybe one of those guys knocks off Paul in an event this year. You never know.
Side out.
That was a nice little underhand punch fist from Luis Moreno with his offhand.
3 serves 13.
This is what it looked like in super slow-mo here, as Luis does.
Point.
Was not a fist. That was just a finger shot.
4 serves 13.
Killian outscoring Luis Moreno 4-1 in this match. 28 to 9.
Side out.
Impressive.
Make that 3-1, as I'm going to go back to using a calculator.
13 serves 4. Point.
Luis just a step behind here, and he's not taking any timeouts.
No.
14 possible match point. Place 4.
This is our number 1 seed now, Dave. Luis Moreno.
Short.
About to be bounced from this event on Saturday morning.
Second serve.
And this could be it
Hold it,
right
hold
here.
it.
Strange little congestion there. I think Luis
Replay.
thinking Killian was going to take that with his right. Wow.
Match.
Unbelievable right there. Killian Carroll passes Luis Moreno, defeats him 14-5, 14-4 on Luis Moreno's home court. And look at this little backhanded flip from Moreno, and then in super slow down that right wall. Killian Carroll takes care of Luis Moreno. Let's go to Kara Mack, who is courtside, going to be courtside here in a couple seconds, as she has, I believe, Killian Carroll. We here are at the Tucson Memorial Handball Championships in Tucson, Arizona. We will interview Killian Carroll, who just defeated Luis Moreno. Dave, it was pretty amazing what we saw here. I thought that the 15-point game would actually benefit Luis Moreno more because he's more of a serve and shoot guy. Clearly, it looked like he was under the weather, and Killian came out, and he was the serve and shoot guy, the first striker. Pretty impressive. Let's go to Kara Mack, who's courtside here. Kara?
I'm here with Killian. Congratulations, taking down number 1 here in the tournament, but did it pretty easily, it seemed, this morning. Did you come in with a great warm-up and feeling good?
Yeah. I made sure that I come early because the games are only up to 15. I'm usually a slow starter, so I made sure that I tried to get off on the right foot this morning because, it's a quick game. So
What was your game plan coming in, and how do you think you did that well?
just to get as many setups as possible. He did give me lots of setups. But I felt he didn't play as well because even when he did get the chances, he didn't put them away. So obviously he didn't play as well in the day, but I played good. So 2 and 2 come together, and that probably predicts the scoreline.
Talk a little bit about this tournament and how it's been for you coming into Tucson.
Oh, that's good. I was here once before, but the weather's fantastic. And there's a lot of people around, and you meet new faces and meet new friends, so it's a fantastic tournament. And plus, it's a different atmosphere because the rules are a lot different. The first time I ever played qualifiers up to 25, and it was kind of an experience as well.
Yeah, don't you wish they could move this one outdoors somehow?
Yeah, probably. You get a lot of sun, but then again, it'd probably be too hot outside then for the handball.
Looking forward, what's going to be your strategy?
Well, lots of rest, and then hopefully play the same way. And whoever I play, maybe if I play Mondo, not give him as much setups because he's unbelievable at killing the ball from anywhere, so it'll be a very tough match. And if I play Steven, I've played Steven many times before, so I just will play the usual way I play him, long rallies, and try and finish when I can.
What has it been like for you to be here in the States and be able to play more tournaments here?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I never really get this opportunity staying in Ireland because the flights are so expensive. But, at least I get to play new people instead of playing the same people all the time. Like, when I'm back in Ireland, I probably play Dermot Nash 13 times a year in a competition, and it's just kind of getting a bit repetitive. So it's a brilliant experience.
We talked at the Open, and you said one of the people you look up to is Tony Healy. Dave back there compared you to him in this last match. What do you kind of take from his game to bring forward?
Well, our games are not really similar, I'd say. We play the same way, but he plays a lot slower and more methodical, where I like to run around, dive all over the place, and try and kill the ball when I can and hit the ball harder than he does. So, we don't really play the same way, but we have the same style, kind of. But I think he's a different player in my head anyway.
Still somewhat the beginning of the season for you. What do you hope to bring about this season and improve?
Well, beat as many people as I can, but really there's only one goal I look after, and that's beating the big man Paul. So, I'm a long way away from that, but I'll just keep training, and hopefully it'll come about someday.
Congratulations. Good luck in the semis.
All right, thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Kara. Dave, he did say that we're completely different. That's obvious that Tony Healy and Killian Carroll play completely different. But there was an aspect to Tony Healy's game that you might have recalled when he said at one point in his life, he goes, I am having troubles defeating Paul Brady in this sort of Dave Chapman style. And so he kind of altered his game and went to that ground and pound and decided to be a scrappier player. And that Tony Healy, who is very deadly, who can flip that switch and become that guy, is very similar to this Killian Carroll that we're watching here. And speaking of Killian, we were able to sit down with him and talk about handball. And I think we'll play that clip from the Los Caballeros Sports Village in Fountain Valley, California, where we had the U.S. Open just a couple weeks ago. Kara Mack was actually sitting with him, and they were able to talk about a series of questions. And I think we can go into a little bit more in-depth and find out a little bit more about what makes this guy tick. We just watched him take down the most consistent player on the tour over the last few years, Luis Moreno, in just a matter of moments, just the way he did it there in less than 30 minutes, beating him 15-5, 15-4. And now maybe it might be the first time you're able to really sit back and watch him live on one of these broadcasts on ESPN3. So we're going to go to that interview now as Carroll talked to Killian. I should say Kara talked to Killian Carroll just a couple weeks ago, and let's go to Carroll with that.
And behind the short line, we've got Killian Carroll with us, coming over from Ireland. What's that like to make that long trip over and then to play handball here in the States?
Oh, it's a lot different anyway. I mean, the tournaments over here are completely different because especially that there's so much tension because obviously it's a pro stop and it's not like Ireland where, you know, everything is just more Irish, where everything here is kind of more international. And you get to meet all the superstars that you always see on TV, so that's kind of cool, and you get to play them. So it's a lot different, all right, but it's very nice, especially when you got the nice weather.
What do you look forward to the most?
In a tournament, I suppose playing well, because then that's what makes you happy.
Give us a little bit of your past. When did you start playing handball? When did you officially fall in love with it?
I mean, it was my first sport, so like ever since I kind of had a big obsession with it, but then I suppose my real obsession started when I won my first All-Ireland when I was 11 years old. So then at that time, I'd kind of written in a little small copybook that, you know, I wanted to be the world's greatest, but it was kind of a child ambition. I still hold that ambition, but you know, I really wanted it as a kid, so I just thriving to get there someday.
Ever stop playing and choose something else?
No, I never stopped playing, but I have tried other things. I mean, like any other kid, I've played like probably 16 sports at one stage, you know, going like training 3 times a day at different things, going here and everywhere. But eventually that kind of has to slow down and you have to kind of, you know, prioritize what you like the best and where you want to go.
Is there anything that you played that helped you in your handball?
No, but you know what, I kind of like other sports. I mean, I like to take a break. I only recently played racquetball for a while. I know that doesn't help handball because it's like a different stroke and all that, but it's really fun. You know, sometimes I play them racquetballers with my hand. You know, that's a lot of fun because it's very difficult. But I really like squash. You know, that's my other sport that I really like, but I only play that like 3 times a year or something, just something different.
22 years old, there's quite a few players older than you on the tour. Who do you look up to? Who would you love to beat? Who do you always look forward to seeing?
Well, like, I mean, I always looked up when I was coming up in the ranks to, like, my local hero, Tony Healy. But obviously he's not really playing much anymore, so if I was to look up to a player right now, it would probably be Paul Brady. I mean, like, everyone loves Paul Brady, but you gotta admit, like, with that much dedication and commitment to one sport, I mean, I would consider that he's really the only professional in the game of handball because no one is able to match his game. Like, people do challenge him, but still, I mean, the stats speak for itself in the end of the day.
Have you ever played Tony?
I played Tony many times. You know, Tony coached me a few times. I mean, like, he was never really my full-time coach, but he gave me some great advice, and you know, I really looked up to him, and you know, I still look up to him. You know, I think he's a genius of the game. He's a great tactician, and you know, he's just great dedication for the game, just like Paul.
What was the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
The best piece of advice I have ever received, you know, really nothing comes to mind, but I suppose, you know,
What was a good piece of advice?
a good piece of advice.
Decent.
I mean, a good piece of advice is timeouts aren't for breaks, they're for tactic and regrouping. You know, they're just for your on-game thinking strategy.
You now commit a lot of time to the sport. As far as traveling, if it wasn't handball, what would it be that you'd be committing this time to?
I honestly don't know. Without handball, you know, I would hope that it would do something with studies, but I couldn't see that happening. So I presume it would be another sport because I am a sporty person.
As far as your entire, you were talking about winning that, what was it when you were 11?
The first All-Ireland?
Yeah.
Well,
That one stands out to you as your biggest accomplishment?
A changing point-wise, yes, but I mean, I have loads of good accomplishments that are probably a lot, you know, higher ranked than that. Like, you know, like maybe a World Championships under-19 title that I hold very dear because it's the only World Championship title I have in singles. So, you know, I think that is a great achievement. And I've won a couple of senior events in Ireland, so they're also a big thing that stands out to mind.
Do you ever get to see the outdoor handball in Ireland?
No, not really. There is very few courts in Ireland. I think there is one 3-wall place in Ireland, but I'm not too sure where it is. And they have a few outdoor 60x30, the big courts in Ireland, but you don't really see it much in Ireland, no.
What's that been like to come here and be exposed to it?
It's very different, I'll tell you, because the first time I ever played it was in San Diego against a fellow like same age rival as me down in San Diego, was Brent Bittigan. But yeah, it was a really good, cool experience. I mean, like, only because the crossover was kind of easier for me than one wall, because we play with the same ball and there's 2 side walls, so you know, the only thing missing was a back wall. So there was some different shots and it was a good experience, but it is very cool.
You ready to have some fun?
Oh, sure.
All right, the hot seat. 10 questions. First thing that comes to mind. Boxers or briefs?
Boxers.
Blondes or brunettes or redheads or black?
Brunette.
If you were an animal, what would you be?
Cheetah.
Why?
Because it's strong and it's fast.
Are you that fast?
Nope.
How long does it take for you to get ready in the morning?
Oh, at least 20 minutes.
What takes so long?
Getting out of bed.
If you could star in any movie or TV show, what would you star in?
House.
Favorite non-handball activity?
Squash.
Favorite vacation spot?
The Bahamas.
Second serve, go for an ace or play it safe?
Play it safe.
Window seat or aisle?
Oil.
And 3 things you can't live without.
Handball. Water and air.
Very practical. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Somebody as talented as this.
They're there for a reason, so I got to go in there ready to play.
Now it's 11-11. The winner will win the cup, and it all comes down to this.
Everything on the line on this point, Dave, all season for 1 point.
It's Juan Santos again. It's Juan Santos again. It's Juan Santos again.